Hello everyone. This is Dr. Noor Nigar, and today I am going to read the story Alone by Sheila Nayampalli Barua. Let us start reading the lesson. 7:30 a.m. Anushya carefully put the rice, dal, and red pumpkin bharta into the hot case. She cooked early to avoid the heat that turned her kitchen into an oven. She waited for the familiar sounds to begin. 8 a.m. Time for the children next door to say their hurricane goodbyes and catch the school bus. Yes, it had started. The last minute tumult heard through the thin walls of a flat. You have forgotten your water bottle. Have you taken your library book? The excited clash of the collapsible lift gates and the boy drifting up through the well of the lift, the front door closing and silence again. 8:30 a.m. She could smell the agarbatti Mr. Hegre in the opposite flat used for his puja. It would be another half an hour before he left for his office. I may be late coming back today. And then the quick, impatient clash of the lift gates. 9:30 a.m. Her neighbor on her left was on her way to office. Nandita, the unmarried eldest daughter, had assumed the role of breadwinner of the family. Her retired father was ill with chronic asthma. They had a younger daughter, Munmun, who had a friend. The walls were so thin that Anushya could hear the heated arguments over the unsuitable lover, the sobbing, the roars of rage, the obstinacy. You can't ruin my life. I'll marry him. There went Nandita, her quiet footsteps passing Anushya's door, opening and closing the lift gates in a careful, meticulous manner. Each of them had a characteristic way of opening the lift, and Anushya could recognize all of them. The absent-minded housewife, the absent-minded housewife Sarala down the corridor to her left always needed to close the gate twice, and Mrs. Bose, her neighbor, went through a hesitant, painstaking closing, while her children used a loud, jarring note, and Mr. Bose had a steady, deliberate finality. Anushya wondered how she sounded to the others, or did anybody bother to listen? Ah, the smell of fish frying. The Bose family must have brought in their weekly quota of fish. They cooked in mustard oil, and she loved the sharp, tangy smell. Anushya tried to stretch her housework to fit the endless leisure that awaited her. She could hardly afford the salary of a part time maid who came in at 5 p.m. But she looked forward to the cheerful chatter of Ramabai, who did all her heavy housework and now did her shopping as well. Ever since her cataract problem started, she had found it difficult to walk down the street on her own. The cherished outings to the bank every alternate day, the few words exchanged with the kind girl behind the savings counter, the couple of mithais shared together once in a while, all these had become pleasures of the past. The milk, bread, and provisions were delivered at the door. Bombay living was conveniently structured to suit the busy lives of its citizens, but no one had the time to exchange letters once a month. Mr. Bose's asthma was getting worse. He was getting up every night in a fit of coughing. She could hear him clearly through the thin bedroom wall. The poor man, how he suffered. Sometimes she felt like telling him about the cough remedies her mother used. But then Mrs. Bose was not very amenable to suggestions. Perhaps she felt like she was being criticized if she was given suggestions. Ah, the sharp, shiny shower of the first rain. It was the beginning of the monsoon. She would stand at the window and breathe in the moist, earth soaked smell that drenched the air. But with pleasure came pain. Anushya smiled at the thought. Now her clothes would take 2 days to dry, and her little flat would smell damp and dank. Even then, she enjoyed the rain. It cleansed the city of its hot dust, and green emerged refreshed. It was an annual milestone, the feverish anticipation of the monsoon and then its noisy arrival. It was something to look forward to every year. 3:30 p.m. It was time for the children to come home. The excited collision of the gates, the vigorous ringing of the doorbells, and then the doors banging shut. 4:30 p.m. The happy clamor of youth and their full-throated enjoyment of the moment wafted towards her. Ready? Ready. Smita, Smita, here, here. I'm first. I'm first. Arun, you cheat. The repeated summons for homework would stop all play in an hour. 5:30 p.m. Ramabai blew in with her usual chatter, her umbrella dripping rain. I, you should see the dirt on the streets. Look at the bhindi I brought you. So tender and fresh. Hear them snap? She rushed through her work and left with some money to buy potatoes and a couple of tender green mangoes for the next day. 7 p.m. It was time for Nandita to come home. Yes, there was the careful closing of the lift gates. 7:30 p.m. Anusha's testy neighbor returns. Bad mood again. A curse accompanies the angry clash of the gates. It was silent again in her little flat. Anusha's story was a common enough middle class story. She remembered the time when, as a young girl in her first year of college, she had fallen in love with Santanu. Oh, those heady days of youth. The heart stopping excitement of anticipation, the lingering look, touch, smile. On the brink of their marriage and of a life together, her father fell ill with a kidney problem. Long years of drudgery followed, of evening classes, working to bring in the extra income while her father's medical bills had mounted and exceeded his meager pension. Santanu's brief visits had dwindled as Anusha was always tired, always busy. Inevitably, they had drifted apart. She had struggled alone, and the worry lines had deepened on her face. After her father died, she had nursed her mother, by then old and frail. Santanu had long since disappeared from her life. Marriage had become an impossible illusion. When her ailing mother died, Anushya was middle aged, and life had sucked her dry of hope and dreams, replacing them with the weight of a resigned, inured acceptance. In the vacuum of her life, the days passed by silently. She found vicarious pleasure in the happy coming home of others, even though there were none to come into her own. Once in a while, Anushya would open her front door to coincide with the striking of the lift gates so that she could exchange a greeting with Nandita or with Sarala. 4:30 a.m. When the muezzin called Allahu Akbar the next day, Anushya woke up completely. Further sleep eluded her. The empty hours stressed ahead like a road without milestones. Would her life have been any different with Santanu? The might have beens were especially heartrending at night. 6 a.m. There was the swish of the mop against the floor. The cleaner was doing his morning chore. One day she thought she would just crumble to dust and no one would know or care. She would be swept away like dirt and disappear forever, unremembered and unwept. 9 a.m. It was Monday. She would go to the post office and post her letter to America. Tuesday, she took out the money to pay her electricity bill and her corporation tax. The apartment supervisor would come and collect it and pay it. Another Bombay convenience. You could get things done without moving from your apartment. Anushya counted the amount carefully and placed it on the table in two separate piles. When the doorbell rang at 2 p.m., Anushya hurried to greet the supervisor, but the door was thrust open with brute force that flung her against the wall. Two men, their faces covered, entered. The taller of the two shook her roughly and pulled the gold chain violently from her neck, breaking the clasps and leaving a long bleeding scratch behind. Anushya was paralyzed with terror. Take her keys, said the other one. The tall one took her keys, tugged in at her waist, and went towards her old grey steel cupboard. All of a sudden, a blood red rage filled her. No, you will not take my mother's jewels, you bastards. I'll not give you my hard-earned money. She flung herself ferociously at them, bit, scratched, hit, shrieked. She hit her, they hit her again and again. She screamed for the last time. Her revolt and rage pierced the thin walls and reached her neighbors. Mr. Hegre, who had returned home early, Mr. and Mrs. Bose, who had come to the door to see off a visitor. They sounded the alarm and rushed to the door. When they broke open the door, the two men were still inside with Anushya's lifeless body. Her brief moment of rebellion would never be known. She would become another statistics in the police records. The next day, the flat was full of people. All her neighbors wanted to help. Her impatient neighbor on her right, now subdued and concerned, offered to inform Radha. Nandita and her sister offered to wash and dress the body. The Apartment Owners Association said they would organize the funeral. Everyone was there to help and commiserate. All those in the apartment block, some who had never seen Anushya even once, were all there appalled by the tragedy. Anushya lay in her flat, dressed in her best sari, covered with garlands of marigold and rose petals. Her small flat was full of people and the sounds of recorded bhajans. She would have been happy. Finally, she was not alone. 6 a.m. There was the swish of the mop against the door. The cleaner was doing his morning chore. 8 a.m. The children shouted their hurried goodbyes. 8:30 a.m. Mr. Hegde lit the agarbatti for his morning puja. 9:30 a.m. Nandita was on her way to office. So with this, I come to the end of the lesson. In my next video, I'll summarize this lesson for you. Thank you, all of you.